You see, Ahmadis believe in all the fundamentals of Islam and all the detailed teaching to the last dot. We believe in the totality of the Holy Quran, and we believe that this book was not only valid 1400 years ago, it is still valid, it will continue to be valid as divine teaching which man must obey and follow. And we also believe in the word of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be the last authority in the world from the mouth of any prophet of God. And no prophet can appear after him who could cancel even a jot of what he said. So in this overall setting of our belief, this allegation finds no room whatsoever. If at all we must have been misrepresented by some, perhaps inadvertently, but by some we know positively, intentionally. What we believe is that Jihad is a must for every Muslim. No single Muslim can live without Jihad. But what is Jihad? This is the issue. Is it Islamic Jihad, what they represent it to be, to take up sword and on the excuse of religious differences, and to murder people for the crime of not agreeing with Islam? If that is Jihad, then of course we do not agree with that, because the Holy Quran doesn't agree with that either. Because Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never murdered people just because of the religious differences. People came to meet him. He lived with the Jews, with the Christians, with the idolaters throughout his life, and never murdered or ordered anyone to be murdered because he did not agree with the faith in which he believed. So there is no justification whatsoever for any scholar of Islam to misinterpret Islam on the issue of Jihad and attribute a concept of Jihad to the Holy Quran and to the conduct of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has no relationship with them. So what is Jihad? The first Jihad which is mentioned in the Holy Quran is the Jihad with the Quran. So the Holy Quran is addressing Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, says, وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. With this book, strive against them with the help of this book. The great striving. So the greatest jihad of every Muslim is to strive for the victory of Islam found in the Holy Quran which speaks of a permission to wage a war against those which those I'm going to explain now. Not against those who disagree with your faith. Not against those who, having heard your message, reject it. Not at all. The words, when you hear, you'll be surprised how they could be misinterpreted by anyone. أذن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير. أذن للذين, permission is granted to those against whom the sword is already raised. Yuqataluna, any Arab can understand the meaning. No one can fail to understand the import of this verse, because a simple injunction expressed in simplest terms. The raising of sword, the fighting, is permitted to those against whom the swords have already been raised. First condition. بِأَنَّهُمْ ظُلِمُوا, despite the fact that they have not committed any crime. They have given no cause of offense to anyone. But it is not over yet. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ. Verily, God has full power to help such people when they raise sword under the permission of God. Now this is also a very significant part of this verse and also of Jihad, because the scenario presented to us is that of a very weak people. So weak and apparently defenseless that any Tom, Dick and Harry begins to raise sword against them and trample upon their rights, despite the fact that they had not given anybody a genuine cause of offense. So the Holy Quran is so wonderful when it says, we are permitting you and we take the responsibility that if you use this permission, you will find God at your back. However weak you may be, when we grant permission, we are responsible that you will emerge victorious. This is exactly the promise made. إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى نَصْرِهِمْ لَقَدِيرٌ. To help them to victory is a small thing for Allah. He is capable of doing whenever He so decides. But the story of their persecution still continues, runs on. It says, الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ. Such innocent people against whom the atrocities have been committed, even to the extent they were turned out of their homes, out of their country, out of their birthplaces. بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ. Without any right of the people who turned them out. Then the Holy Quran tells us, إِلَّا أَن يَقُولُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ. The only crime they committed was, they said, God is our Lord, the Provident. Allah Rabbuna. And this is the only claim they made which annoyed the opponents to a degree that they started committing all sorts of cruelties against them, and they are not yet satiated, they are not satisfied. Having turned them out of their homes, they are still after them. Now this is in a sort of prophecy, in fact. It says, you have come to Medina, you have been turned out of your homes, but the war is not over against you. The sword will yet be raised. And this time, if they come pursuing you, we permit you to fight back. This was indeed a prophecy of what happened at Badr. And the promise of Allah was kept so beautifully. Being small in number, being weak in other respects, pitched against an army of trained soldiers, the very pick of Mecca, who were 1,000, who were mounted, who had all sorts of equipments, available at that time. And this